I'm Ezrah Raya, reporting on the hottest issues and the biggest stories. This is the Manila Times. We are here in Narita, Japan, to witness Cebu Pacific's launching of its Sustainable Aviation Fuel. October 25th is the inaugural flight of the airline's Japan to Manila route as one of the first sustainable commercial flight operated in the Philippines. Cebu Pacific will be using a blend of 40% sustainable fuel or SAF with a new engine option or NEO aircraft carrier. Together, this will reduce carbon emissions by 44%. This is part of the airline's decarbonization strategy in support of the long-term goal of net zero carbon emissions by 2050, as adopted by the International Civil Aviation Organization and in line with the UN Convention on Climate Change.
And the progress that we have made in integrating SAF in our operations since 2022. Aviation only contributes 2 to 3% of total global emissions. Nevertheless, emissions from aviation are considered one of the hardest to abate, alongside heavy-duty transport, steel, cement, fertilizers, and petrochemicals. Aviation's contribution to global emissions will have ballooned to 22% by 2050 if the industry does not take action to reduce, neutralize, or eliminate its emissions. Among this list of actions, SAF will deliver the biggest contribution to meet the global net zero by 2050 target. IATA estimates that SAF will contribute 65% of emissions reduction action to meet aviation's net zero goals by 2050. Due to the significance of SAF for achieving net zero, we at Cebu Pacific have been actively integrating SAF into our operations since 2022. We have put in place a near-term roadmap until 2030 to utilize SAF across our commercial network. This roadmap has 3 initiatives: incrementally test and incorporate SAF in our operations, which include using SAF for delivery flights of new aircraft that we purchase. The second is to assess the acceptance of the market and buy-in of SAF. In this regard, we have mounted pilot commercial flights that use SAF, one last year and another this year, is to establish strategic partnerships to develop and secure our SAF supply. To this end, we engage with various stakeholders towards the longer-term plan of integrating SAF fully into our regular commercial flights in the future. We are quite pleased with the progress that we have achieved since we launched our roadmap last year. 2022 was a pivotal year for SAF adoption as we successfully integrated SAF into 4 delivery flights of new Airbus NEOs. Last year, we also mounted our very first commercial flight that utilized SAF. More delivery flights of new aircraft also used SAF in 2023, totaling to 7 NEOs to date. In parallel, we continue to pursue strategic partnerships in collaboration with domestic and regional stakeholders to develop future supply of SAF in the region. In 2022, we signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Shell Aviation for supply of SAF beginning in 2026 until 2031. Also very proud of was that in 2022, we earned the distinction of being the first low-cost carrier in Southeast Asia and the first Philippine airline to use SAF in commercial operations. And just last week, we signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Neste to work together towards establishing future SAF supply for Cebu Pacific. Neste has the largest capacity for SAF production in the world. We are launching our first SAF-powered commercial flight from Japan, which will be Flight 5J5055 that will fly from Narita to Manila. This flight will utilize 40% SAF and the fuel-efficient A321neo. The flight could reduce the carbon emission footprint per passenger by as much as 44%. For the first time, a Philippine carrier will operate from Tokyo to Manila powered by Sustainable Aviation Fuel. So this flight is powered by Sustainable Aviation Fuel. Combining SAF with our fuel-efficient A321neo aircraft, this flight will result in a 44% reduction in carbon emissions per passenger, setting a new record for Cebu Pacific's SAF-powered flights. So to our dear customers, thank you for choosing to fly sustainably today with Cebu Pacific. Once again, welcome aboard and let's fly everyone. Thank you very much.